Susan, look at all these wonderful projects you have. And you've sewn buttons on all these projects.
It's one of my favorite things to do.
You didn't do these by hand?
No, of course not.
I didn't think so.
I used the sewing machine, and I used a presser foot by BERNINA that is designed to sew on buttons, and not only buttons, this will sew on jewels and gemstones, anything that has a little hole that you can go in and out of and attach it to a fabric. What I'm going to show you today is foot number 18. It is called the button sew-on foot. First of all, it's very short so that it sits right on top of the button. And you see this black portion is actually a coating. It's a rubber coating that will help the foot sit on the button and keep it from slipping. Now this center portion here is what we call a shank. And you know, when you sew on buttons by hand, you typically have to leave a little space in the thread so that the garment has enough room to button. You actually can take it off if you need to, but for what we're doing, we put it all the way down and just pretend it's not there. Now, Nina, you have this cute little bag, and it is almost finished, but you want to put a button on the flap, so I'm going to sew this button on for you by machine.
That would be great.
So what we want to do is position it where you want it, and you actually can use a little glue stick if you want to hold it in place. When you position the button under the foot, you want to put the holes under the center portion of the foot, and normally that will give you the correct spacing. You'll always want to test it so you make sure you don't break a needle, but a secret is that most button manufacturers have a standard width. So if you put your button so that it is right between the toes of the foot, then probably 90% of the time you'll have the right spacing.
So even a very small button,
even a tiny little button,
yes,
same. The spacing between the holes are the same. Now I wouldn't guarantee that for everything, so I would check it, but you'll be surprised at how seldom you have to change that. When we sew on buttons by machine, there are several stitches that you have to choose from. One is just a simple zigzag stitch. It will work. There are some better choices, but basically you're going to drop the feed dogs and go back and forth between the holes of the button. Many BERNINA machines have a program for sewing on buttons, and what I'm doing now, I'm turning the hand wheel just to test my width. I really felt confident that it was correct, but I want to make sure, so I'd use the hand wheel. Now I'm going back and forth. You can see that it takes some lock stitches as it goes into the hole so that this is going to be extremely secure. It stops automatically. My foot is still down on the foot control, and when I lift it up, I'm now ready to go to the next two holes that are in the back. So I slide the button forward, and I press the foot control down and let the machine sew until it stops. Once you finish, you can pull the threads to the back or clip them off. And what you have is a very secure button that we sewed on in a matter of seconds.
Well, thank you, Susan, for sewing
You're
your button
welcome.
on my bag. That was very quick and easy.
So if you'd like to see more about button sew on foot number 18 or other BERNINA presser feet, go see your local BERNINA dealer today.